Hi friends, it's Lisa Hetrick. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. I'm so grateful you're here with me today. And welcome to Art Exploration with Jessica from Color Me Creative, Kellie from Kellie Chassis Fine Art, and me from Indigo Jade Art, where every month in 2020 we are taking a deeper dive and exploring a new color. All three of us met as online teachers, and we just love teaching and exploring new mediums. This month, we're exploring the color turquoise and all of its beautiful blue hues. You can also participate in our monthly challenge and dive in a bit more with us in our private Facebook group. The link to join is listed below. Okay, let's dive into this month's color and project. I am going to be sharing this turquoise poinsettia card and how to make it. And we're going to be focusing on resist techniques in this class. We'll take a quick look at the supplies. I have some round brushes here in various sizes. I have a couple paint palettes here that I'll explain a little bit more, some water. I have some white crayons and some masking fluid that we're going to use for the resist techniques that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. The colors that I'm going to be sharing are my favorite watercolors in turquoise. So I've swatched them out here. I've got some Daniel Smith, some two different kinds of Daniel Smith, a phthalo turquoise and a Sleeping Beauty. I have some Winsor Newton M. Graham, and I'm also sharing this Juniper Green from Dr. P.H. Martin's. We're going to be doing the project in the P.H. Martin's. I'm going to talk a little bit about liquid watercolors, but you can also mix up a turquoise using a cerulean blue and a really light green to get kind of a tealy turquoise color. I'm using these note cards from Artista, and I've been using them for a couple months. They're watercolor note cards. They're not 100% cotton, but I really enjoy working with them. So let's talk a little bit about the watercolor resist technique using masking fluids or crayons. In this case, I used this white Sharpie China marker, and I just colored it all on in this squiggly line look and feel on some watercolor paper. And when I applied my watercolor, the China marker, it just creates that resist. So you can have a lot of fun with this technique. And you can see you can do really simple cards with snowflakes and shapes and all kinds of different illustrations using this technique. And it's a super simple way to create a resist on your watercolor projects. Now I'm going to focus today's watercolor resist technique using masking fluid. Now this product is from Nuvo, and again it's listed down below, but it is what I used to create the veins and the white effects inside of the poinsettia flowers. So masking fluid, there's lots of different brands and I've tried a lot of different ones. I really enjoy this one because it's got a nice fine tip, and that tip never gets clogged. So you can see I can just really draw with this masking fluid to create that vein or create any kind of illustration or shape that I'm trying to create. So I've already done that on this card, and you can see once it dries, it gets a little bit of a yellow tint to it, and that's how you know it's dry and you're ready to paint. It also is a little bit sticky, like a little bit tacky, and it's removable, and it'll temporarily cover the areas of the white paper that I don't want the paint to go in. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm using the Juniper Green Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant watercolors. Now, these watercolors are super juicy, and the reason why I'm using them today is because they perform very well on this Artista watercolor cardstock. This cardstock is not 100% cotton. It's like a Canson paper, but it's really nice, and the card seems to hold up really well to water. So I've been enjoying using them this holiday season. So I've put a little bit of that Juniper Green in my bowl here, and I've added quite a bit of water because I'm watering this down. And I'm just using the entire belly of the brush to create the 5 petals around this poinsettia. So you can see that I'm just using the entire belly of the brush going out and then coming back in and just kind of filling this in. So there isn't anything fancy about these brush strokes. It's just simple painting. The Radiant watercolors are really super, super wet. They're dye based, so they're very, very vibrant, and they work really well with paper, watercolor paper that isn't 100% cotton, because they kind of sit on top of the watercolor paper, and they are super, super vibrant here. You can see that I'm painting over top of the masking fluid that I laid down for the centers of the poinsettias and the texture in the leaves of that main large poinsettia. So I'm just going around, and this comes together really super quick and just using brush strokes. And I'm dropping in some more of that juniper green color. I also have that juniper green over here on my palette, and I let it dry a little bit in the palette. So I'm adding some of the darker, this isn't as watered down, so this is more of that concentrated radiant color to the center and where the masking fluid is, just to get a little bit of more variation in the 2 turquoise colors. Okay, so now I am just adding a little bit of blue and gold and a little bit of green watercolor. I'm mixing all of these together because I'm going to paint in the leaves, and they're going to have a little bit of extra shimmer and shine to them using this pan that I have that just has a little bit of metallic gold. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my brush and paint a line in 3 different areas, and these are just going to be the lines for my anchor points for my leaves. So I'm just aligning the whole belly of the brush up against the lines that I've illustrated as my anchor points, and just creating, by nesting those shapes together, I'm able to create that look and feel of the leaves and the greenery for the poinsettia. Okay, so I decided to grab a little bit of the Winsor Newton turquoise, the cobalt turquoise, and just add a little bit of it to the centers of the poinsettias to add a little bit of extra depth in color. So kind of digging that look and feel. I've got an eraser here, and this is a gum eraser, and it's very, very useful in getting the masking fluid off. So you can see I'm just rubbing the gum eraser over the masking fluid to pull that away, and you can see all of the white has been preserved. The white from the watercolor paper has been preserved using the masking fluid. So it creates that extra texture and dimension in the whole composition and in the florals here by just using the masking fluid. So masking fluid is used often to protect the whites, and here I'm using it in reverse. I'm using it to create the texture inside of the petals. Now I'm just taking a finer point watercolor brush here, and this is just a number 3 round, and I'm just feathering in some extra texture lines with that juniper green color, but just at full strength, so it's a little bit darker, and just nesting them inside of the petals here just to create a little bit of extra texture and a little bit of variety in that turquoise color. And I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing here with the green leaves that accompany the poinsettia flowers. So just using this really sharp brush just kind of helps me feather in those little extra texture lines to create the veins inside of everything. And I'm just tapping out a little bit of splatter gold just to create that extra little bit of gold punch at the end here. And I am loving the way this came out. It's super whimsical, very, very easygoing, and the masking fluid really helps create that extra texture and dimension. I hope you enjoyed today's art exploration tutorial. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel, and head on over to Kellie and Jessica's channels to subscribe and watch their color exploration for this month as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.